So, this outbreak of the undead, seemingly out of nowhere, those superstitious types preach that the outbreak was the result of angering Nosoi, the god of death. Families devouring each other in the streets as they burned. Neighbor turning on neighbor until there was almost nothing left. The undead, they ran rampant in the town for 5 days. After which our saviors, the noble High Shields, and he kind of points to the castle towards the northeast, the High Shield estate. They arrived. Husband and wife, doctors by trade. They hatched a plan with the survivors that they could rally, anyway. They lured the forces of undeath to the church, up there in the forlorn parish, where they held them for 3 days, without rest. During this distraction, the surviving townspeople dug a large trench around the surrounding tree line, funneling the water from the river into it and creating a barrier that the undead didn't seem willing to cross. An unusual circumstance, but all the same, a fortunate one. The High Shields, they promised to find a cure, to return the corrupted to their loved ones. They've set up in the nearby castle, as I pointed out here, relentlessly working towards this end. A year later, and they still haven't given up hope. They visit sometimes, so if you stick around, you might well run into them. Lovely folk, agreeable, but busy. Always busy. Despite being brought together as a community by this disaster, as I said, the air of suspicion sort of still lingers. Some of the locals might be quite excited to see you, to finally see visitors willing to come to this place again. Some indication that we're not cursed after all, or not abandoned, maybe. While others might be quite wary. But there's a lot to be done, as I said. If you stick around, then you're sure to earn their trust, their respect, assuming that you are respectable folk. So, as far as you are aware, there is a colony, essentially, of undead that is currently residing on the forlorn parish, unable to cross the watery boundary, so being quarantined in a sense, on a small island, a safe distance away from the rest of the town. So you agree together that you will investigate the thefts taking place, first and foremost. Perhaps, you hope, taking a little bit of a break from fighting for your life and instead deciding to put your heads together and investigate something for a change. Declare myself the town's witcher? The witchers exist. Witchers... The term witcher doesn't exist in this world, but they have another name. Okay. So right now we have asking the creature about the creature with the cage. Okay, so you decide to ask about the creature that you saw in the woods after the air crash, seemingly dragging away numerous bodies of people who did not survive the crash itself. Aaron seems a little taken aback as you ask this question. Oh, wow, I didn't expect that you would run into him. Well, you see, it's been difficult to keep the town safe, even with the precautions put in place. Sometimes the undead, they wander, they find passages off the island. Some of them brave the waters and wander either outwards or inwards. Now, we keep guards posted, watching for the latter, but sometimes the undead, they wander out into the forest, and well, that lad that you met, we call him Matthias. He was an employee of the High Shields that they brought after the dust had settled from everything that happened to guard the boundaries of the woods. I'm sorry you had to see that. It must have been an awful sight. But I must ask, was he carrying any bodies? So I'm going to ask you, chat, whether or not you tell him the truth. Can we perception check to see if it'll get us in trouble to say the truth? Okay, so that would be an insight check to try and get a read on the barkeep and his body language. We can do that. Oh, Elok with the check bonus. I like it. Getting right in there. So this is going to have an extra +2. And we will get we'll get into exactly what that means. Go, Turk. Hit us with that roll. 14. Okay, so that brings us to a total of 21. All right. Okay, so something strange happens as you look towards this individual across the bar from you. Aaron stands there, and you feel, although he's talking, you start to lose focus. There's a ringing in your ear, and it draws your attention to your right. And as you look down the bar, you see just past Roga, your turtle companion, who is happily slurping down their ale. You see a strange, wispy figure that appears to be motioning as if they're drinking something, but holding nothing. You see this head turn towards you, and you see this strange gap in this wispy silhouette that opens up into a smile, almost impossibly wide, this crescent moon stretching across their face. And then they disperse into mist. You look towards Aaron, and you see, almost imperceptibly, there's remnants of this strange white fog that seems to linger, almost like a halo around the head, like a cloud lingering above. You kind of look around, nobody else seems to notice it. Looking at Aaron, as discerningly as you can, you notice that he seems fairly forthcoming. You get the sense that there might be more to the story, and as you're kind of listening to it being told, you guess that he has some kind of personal investment in what happened a year ago. There's a sense of sadness in the way that he tells the tale, but you don't get the sense that asking more will necessarily get you in trouble. So you feel fairly safe in asking more questions. Reasonable questions that somebody, you know, if they're going to be spending a time in a village that may or may not have an undead problem, might ask. I suppose with that, we'll continue with the yes, because everybody said that you were going to tell them about the bodies and about the situation, as you feel confident in this moment that you do not have to change your mind about it. You retell the tale of a day ago. You leave out some bits of information, such as the orb that you were chasing and subsequently lost. You mentioned that you were aboard an airship that was attacked by another ship and also a dragon. They rended your ship from the air, and you were sent tumbling down to the ground. As far as you're aware, only the 4 of you survived. And this individual, Matthias, as you know now they are called, seemed to have gathered up bodies from the crash site and was dragging them away somewhere. And Aaron looks to you, a little troubled by this revelation. Oh, well, you see, we have somewhat of a series of rituals here to protect us from something that might happen in a similar vein again. When somebody dies, they are collected either by the family or by Matthias, if the family is, God forbid it, unwilling to part with the body, to be taken and cremated so that they cannot return to life. It's more of a safeguarding procedure. If you wanted, I suppose you could bring up the issue with the High Shields and see if they found anything of interest or import. They often tend to check the bodies for any kind of signs or signifiers that might indicate change in the situation. Matthias is, dare I say, effective, but not necessarily the discerning type. So I'm very sorry to hear that your friend here was almost, well, you get it. So, you've decided that you want to investigate the thefts. So I'm going to ask you real quick, do you intend to set out now? Or do you want to take some time to rest and recover before you head out? You decide that you're going to take some time to rest. Aaron graciously says, well, you all look a little bit run down, and it seems like you intend to be here a little while, so why don't you head upstairs, find a room, and get some rest up there. I'm sure you'll pay me back, right? To which you all just kind of shrug and then nod in agreement. At the very least, no harm can come of it, surely. So you take some time finding a room each to take a bit of a rest. So we'll say you sit down with your remaining rations between all of you on the main table in the inn. You have a little bit of light lunch, finishing your ales, and then go and find a room. We'll label them just because we can, so we know who's in which room. They all look pretty much exactly the same. Very simple, but large beds suitable for one or more companion. A closet, a chest, a storage space for books or journals, a weapon rack, and a small fire. I wanted the closest one to the exit, but we're okay with windows. That makes sense, yeah. So, you decide to choose door number 4. So, walking outside, as you have to go outside the building to then enter the residential area, you pass by each of the doors, taking a look inside each one. Your companions each take a room to themselves. Roga takes door 1. Belandria up on door 4. Trenk takes door 3. It is what it is. So I want to get an investigation check from you, chat, to see what details you uncover about the room. Go Turk. Hit us with the roll. 6 + 1 + 2 brings us to 9 total. So you case the room. You soon enough realize that much as had been explained to you, there definitely have not been a lot of visitors here for some time. The beds are ready-made, and the sheets themselves seem to be kept pretty dust-free. But as you're kind of checking the room, you see there's a lot of dust accumulating between the floorboards, on the top of surfaces like the cupboard, behind the chest that's in the corner of the room. For the most part, it's incredibly obvious that this place doesn't get a lot of business, at least as far as lodgings go. You see, with the check still, with the 9 total, that the windows have a very simple latch on the inside. They're a little bit rusted, but it shouldn't take too much work for someone like yourself to open the windows, and if you needed to, escape out the back. As you look down outside, you see that there is a fairly simple iron pipe that runs down the corner of this building, far side where you are. So if you were to exit through the windows, you could essentially grab this pipe to your right and then slide down the side of the building to safety. So you don't find any potential hidden details that might be there, but you find the basics, essentially. So you sit down, taking a power nap, and it takes about an hour or 2 before you all kind of start to regroup and strategize, knowing that you will have to move towards the barracks to get information. You head back out there.